Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into a really complex and fascinating topic, the roots and the remedies of corruption in India. We're going to uncover the hidden forces that shape both power and everyday society. Let's get into it.
To really understand this, we have to start by looking at an incredible paradox. On one hand, India's momentum right now is just absolutely staggering. It's the world's largest democracy, it has a totally booming startup ecosystem, and it's one of the fastest-growing economies on the entire planet. With its world-class tech hubs, the ambition of becoming a fully developed nation isn't just a pipe dream anymore. It's a very real, achievable goal.
But there's a flip side. Shadowing all of that incredible progress is this heavy historical baggage that still haunts almost every level of society. Despite decades of undeniable growth, corruption remains deeply embedded in the system. And we're talking about everything from, those frustrating little bribes at local administrative offices, all the way up to massive billion-dollar national scams that dominate the headlines. So you really have to wonder, why does this problem stubbornly persist despite all this national progress? I mean, how does it survive even with stricter laws on the books, a huge push for digital governance, new anti-corruption agencies, and way more public awareness? Who's actually keeping it alive? Is it just the politicians, the bureaucrats, big business?
Well, to figure that out, we need to look under the hood. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. Beyond just taking bribes, 2. The systems that feed it, 3. Politics, power, and money, 4. The hidden tax on society, and 5. How to actually fix it. All right, part 1. Beyond just taking bribes. Let's reframe the core issue. When we hear the word corruption, we usually picture, a shady deal happening in a smoke-filled back room. But fundamentally, it's so much more than that. It is the active breaking of systems that were designed to serve everyone fairly. It happens anytime someone abuses their entrusted power for personal gain, which literally destroys the fairness of institutions that everyday society relies on. And because it's about fractured systems, the participants are all over the map. It is definitely not just politicians. The ecosystem includes government officials demanding a cut, massive companies manipulating lucrative contracts, and yes, ordinary citizens who just pay a little extra to bypass a frustrating rule. It's a shared, interconnected ecosystem. Moving right along to Section 2, the systems that feed it. We need to look at the mechanics of supply, demand, and bureaucracy. At its absolute core, this whole thing operates on a toxic mutual incentive structure. It's basically supply and demand. You usually have two very willing participants. On one side, the official, who financially benefits by flexing their discretionary power. On the other side, the citizen, who saves incredibly valuable time in the short term by just avoiding massive delays. Both sides get exactly what they want in that immediate moment, and that creates a dangerous cycle that totally normalizes the behavior. Picture this. You're just trying to get a simple permit. You apply, and suddenly you're facing this endless mountain of paperwork, approvals, and surprise inspections. Then, an official uses their discretionary power to just pause the process, indefinitely. Eventually, money changes hands simply to bypass artificial hurdles that shouldn't have been there in the first place. So, the real takeaway here? It's not just this simple case of bad people doing bad things. It's actually these overly complex systems and unchecked discretionary power that breed these opportunities. If a bureaucratic process is so messy that one single person can hold it hostage, well, it's practically inviting misuse. The environment itself is the problem. Which brings us to Section 3, politics, power, and money. Let's talk about the incredibly expensive reality of elections. Think about the sheer scale of running an election in a country as massive as India. It is mind-bogglingly expensive. You've got nationwide advertising, massive physical events, paying an army of campaign workers, extensive travel, building out entire tech infrastructures. The demand for immense, continuous funding is just hardwired right into the political system.
And that creates a massive transparency challenge. Politicians desperately need money to run, businesses have that money, and in return, they want a favorable operating environment. The huge risk here, as our sources clearly highlight, is that major public decisions end up getting warped by private interests. Navigating that line is incredibly difficult, even when you have strict laws on the books. But let's be honest, there's a really uncomfortable truth we have to face. As a society, we often tolerate and even participate in these smaller actions. Whether it's slipping some cash to avoid a traffic fine, pulling strings for a kid's school admission, or calling in a favor through a personal connection to skip a line. Individually, they feel harmless, right? But collectively, they send a clear signal that the rules don't actually matter, which gives systemic corruption the oxygen it needs to survive.
All right, Section 4, the hidden tax on society. Let's break down the real economic cost of all this.
Make no mistake, this isn't just some abstract moral failing we're talking about. It is literally a hidden tax on society that severely drags down economic momentum. Even if you think you personally aren't participating in it, you are absolutely paying for it, whether that's through higher everyday costs or just slower economic growth in your own community.
Because think about the fallout. When public funds get siphoned off, everyday infrastructure takes a direct hit. Local schools, hospitals, roads, they all deteriorate. When huge government contracts go to whoever paid the highest bribe instead of the most qualified builder, it deters legitimate business investments. And the end result? Much lower quality public services for absolutely everyone.
Okay, finally, Section 5, how to actually fix it. Let's look at systemic reforms and the impact of digital India.
The good news, technology is becoming a massive game changer here. Digital interventions are actively reducing the need for human bottlenecks. By shifting to online tax filing, universally adopting digital payments like UPI, and using direct benefit transfers that send funds straight to citizens' bank accounts, India is fundamentally rewiring how the government interacts with the public.
The magic number here is 0. The ultimate goal of all these digital platforms is to drive human administrative bottlenecks all the way down to 0. Because think about it, fewer human interactions literally mean fewer opportunities for a bribe to be demanded. When a server processes your form automatically, there's no official sitting at a desk who can hold your paperwork hostage until you pay up. Tech brings radical transparency.
But, and this is a very big but, human beings still design and manage those digital systems. You can't just arrest your way out of a problem this deeply rooted. True anti-corruption requires a total systemic overhaul. We're talking stronger institutions, incredibly simple regulations so people don't feel the need to look for shortcuts in the first place, and truly independent oversight.
Ultimately, fixing this is a shared responsibility. It's just not a problem that gets solved overnight. As our sources highlight, it demands relentless, continuous improvement from both institutions and businesses. And, perhaps most crucially, it requires a cultural shift. Everyday citizens who just flat out refuse to play the game anymore.
So I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to chew on. With the massive, unprecedented push for digital governance we've seen over the last decade, do you think corruption in India has actually improved? Or has the underlying systemic problem remained largely unchanged? Let us know your thoughts. Thanks so much for joining us for this explainer, and stay curious.